now.
And are we
So
doing video too, or just audio
I,
only?
I tell you what, I can't seem to get my camera to come on. We can do audio. It's up to
It's
you.
in your so it's in your settings somewhere. So when I say it says you can't start your video because the host has stopped it.
Hmm.
So if you go into your meeting settings somewhere in there, you've done that.
Oh, maybe I've done that and I don't know where it is. Hmm.
Yeah, this is you're using the webinar, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so the webinar settings are going to be actually in your Zoom. If you go into your zoom.us on your browser, your settings are going to be there. But then, yeah, I don't know if the Zoom, I'm just trying to think. You should also have your Zoom meeting console come up. And then there's a settings in there.
Let's see.
And yeah.
Maybe I'm not as technologically advanced as I'd like to think sometimes.
Yep. And so Bill and George and Marilyn and Vicky, just hang tight. We're trying to get the video going so that we can
Yeah.
look good while we're doing it.
Dude, I cannot seem to get it to turn on. I do not have the option.
Video settings here. So when you go on the bottom left hand side of your thing, you should have video settings in the menu next to your video camera.
Video settings.
And then look and see, is there anything in your video settings? Is there anything in the general settings?
General settings. Let's see. I know I've done this before. I actually use Zoom all the time.
Yeah,
but I
me
couldn't
too.
get my camera to turn on when we started. I said, well,
Mine is not being able. Mine is saying that the host has disabled it essentially.
I think it may be a.
Well, rock and roll. We're doing an audio based one.
We'll do an audio based one. I'm good with that. You know what? It's going to be great information either way.
Yeah.
Do you want to pull it up? If you want to make notes or anything, welcome to share a screen or whatever you want to do, Matt. Matthew.
Okay, that sounds good.
So guys, this is Jason Morris here, and we're live on Facebook. We got people watching us on Facebook. I'm live today with Matthew Ferry, and Matthew, I tell you, for everybody that don't know you, you want to tell about yourself?
Sure. Well, for this particular group, they may know me as a real estate sales trainer back in the day. So I spent the majority of my early adult life under the wing of my mentor and father, Mike Ferry, who trained me to be an incredible salesperson. That was my job, and then exposed me to hundreds of mentors, all the mentors that he wished he had. He essentially exposed me to, and his objective was to make sure that I was better than him, which I thought that was a pretty lovely thing to do. And today I have made a transition because about 1999 I started to see that I could teach people what to do and then they wouldn't do it. And it led me on this inner investigation. And it wasn't just the people. It was also myself, Jason. I too was stuck and not able to implement all the things that I had been learning. And as I began to dig into the mind, I started to see that there was something underneath the mind, running the mind, and it led me to explore greater states of consciousness and try to understand what is going on in the mind and why is it not allowing me to enjoy my life the way that I want to and experience the successful results and actions that it would take to get those results. And here we are today.
Why do you think we do that? I mean, I have it in my group coaching. I got about 400 agents in my group coaching. And there's some of them, man, I talk to one-on-one, and I know they're capable. They're smart people. They want something better than what they have now. And it's like, dude, I'm telling you what to do. You just got to go do the work. Why don't they do the work?
Well, in my book, Quiet Mind, Epic Life, I talk about the source of thinking. And the source of thinking is what I call the hidden motives to survive. So I worked on the mind, Jason. I worked on it big time. I trained it. I conditioned it. I used affirmations. I used dream boards. I did visualization. I did all of that stuff. And still, the mind would come in and take me out. And ultimately, through my spiritual process, which was an inward meditative process, I began to discern that there was something else going on. And it was through the addition of a tool called applied kinesiology, more commonly called muscle testing, that I was able to do an investigation and discover that there were 10 hidden motives to survive that run the show in the background: greed, grudge, hatred, victim, illogical rules, being humble, being a traitor, having pride, resisting things, and being lazy. And these are very successful survival perspectives or survival drives. And if you don't take the time to resolve, or in probably using better words from my book, correct the imbalances of the hidden motives, you'll always be stuck. So you'll get so far, and then next thing you know, you'll be like, why is it that I'm unwilling to say that statement? Why won't I call that person and say those things? And you discover, oh, wow, I've got traitor going on. I'm hiding who I really am. I'm afraid of being discovered as a fraud. Or I've got lazy, saying, just conserve your energy. Don't worry about it. You have enough now. You don't need to take any more action. There's these underlying motivations left unchecked. There's nothing you're going to do to get the mind on your side.
We get complacent.
It's not even that we get complacent. So complacency is a phenomenal survival objective. So if you take the time to acknowledge, why am I doing this? What is the mind's motivation? You discover that the mind's motivation is always survival. And you begin to realize, well, wait a second. Am I in a survival situation? No. Is there any threat? No, there's not. And when you start to have that presence of mind, suddenly the underlying motivation of the mind disappears. And when it disappears, your mind goes quiet, your courage explodes, you become someone who takes action because you want to. And Jason, you also become someone who, when you don't take action, you don't beat yourself up. You just go, I'm chilling right now. No meaning.
I think a lot of agents do that. Well, I know I do that to myself, to tell you the truth. Sometimes like I have a list of goals or things I want to get done this week. And when I don't get it done, I feel guilty about it. And then that's what drives me to, I got to do this on Saturday. I got to do this on Sunday, rather than, doing something I'd rather do, like spending time with my family or, whatever, spending time. I got a 21-month-old daughter. And there's sometimes like I'll feel guilty about what I didn't do that week. And
guilt is a survival survival system. So guilt is driving you to take action, to do stuff, to gather resources, to move forward, because your biology thinks you're too stupid.
That was something we had a discussion thread in my group this week. And it was about, basically, do you feel guilty when you take a day off, when you get off early today? You know what I mean? And that's interesting. So you believe it's a survival mode or survival instinct?
If you don't undo the survival instinct, your mind will never be quiet.
So by quiet mind, what do you mean, a quiet mind?
A quiet mind is really a mind that is in the present moment. So it's free from stress, worry, and concern. It's free from guilt and obligation. And here's the crazy thing. According to the American Institute of Stress, 73% of Americans say that they deal with psychological stress on a regular basis. And if you talk to real estate agents, there's a lot of stress going on. And that's bad news, because When you're stressed out, you make bad decisions. You don't see things clearly. You're not easy to be around. Your creativity is diminished. Your energy is zapped. And if you're going to achieve your goals, you want the best version of yourself to be influencing every aspect of your business. Now, the good news is that when you learn to quiet your mind, all of those debilitating effects disappear. And anyone can develop the skill of having a quiet mind.
So how do we do that?
I have a 4-step process that I've developed over the years. There are many, many tried and true systems that are out there in the world. For me, I found that meditation did not provide me with the result that I wanted. And I really wish that it did. And there was a time when I was meditating as much as 4 hours a day.
Really? So
My
I've tried
mind
to
was
do that too. I've tried to do the meditation thing. And one of my big issues is I worry about stuff. I have, let's see, what do you call it? Neurotic guilt. I think that's the psychological term, neurotic guilt. I feel guilty about things that aren't mine to feel guilty about sometimes. And I've tried the whole meditation thing, and just for me, it's I meditate for 10 minutes, and then hey, I still feel the anxiety and stuff I felt before I started meditating.
what I ultimately had to do was recognize that the mind itself is not controllable. The mind is instead an automatic thought producing machine. So the mind in my world, I call the mind the drunk monkey. And it's like a GPS system. So you're not gonna change the GPS system unless you change the direction it's going. So for example, you keep saying, I want to spend time with my child, and your drunk monkey, the GPS says, get your booty to work.
Yeah, I got to go
And
to work so I can
you have to
support my
go
child.
you have to go work to support your child, which you and I both know is a lie.
Yeah,
You actually can support your family exactly as you are now. You don't need more.
exactly.
The needing more comes from a survival motive called greed.
Yeah,
The guilt comes from a survival motive called self-hatred. And when you have those things running, you have the illogical rules, put your family first. You have self-hatred. What's wrong with you? You're stupid. You need to get your butt to work. You have pride. I need to show the world that I'm amazing. You have greed. Get as much money as you possibly can. Otherwise, we're not going to survive. All of those things are running in the background. Now, they're not conscious. They're unconscious. The conscious thought is like the directive from the GPS system. You keep saying, I'm going to go straight and hang out with my new baby. And the GPS is saying, no, go left, go to the office. And you're like, wait, I'm not going to the office. I'm going to go hang out with my new baby. And the GPS is like, left. And there's nothing you're going to do about it. You're not going to undo tens of thousands of years of evolutionary programming. You're not going to undo it. What there is to do is to transcend the mind altogether. And when you transcend the mind, you're free to act in a way that is empowering for you.
it's very interesting. Like, because I got a number in my head that's like my monthly goal that I want to hit, like basically more passive income, not actively going out there listing and selling houses. Now, this number doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just an arbitrary number. It's one literally, when I think about it, I picked it out of thin air. It's way more than what pays my bills, way more than, I already go to all the restaurants I want to go to. I already, like I could sit home most days. I could spend time with my daughter. I could spend every day with her. And I've never thought of it as being a greed factor.
Greed is the unconscious concern that there won't be enough, so you need to gather up more resources to make sure that you can survive. And Jason, I spend most of my days now coaching people on Wall Street. And the crazy thing is, these are people who have millions and millions, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, and they still have fear that they won't have enough. Unless you resolve the underlying hidden motive to survive, greed, you'll be illogically driven to gather more resources, even though you're already in a great position.
So how do we resolve that?
I describe in my book the process of becoming aware of the hidden motives to survive. And then in my book, I have a link that people can use to go. I've created a series of processes where they can begin to work out or resolve these imbalances in their consciousness. So they start with my book. They could also go to YouTube. I've got a whole series of videos that I've put up on YouTube about the hidden motives. I really am doing everything in my power at this moment to give people the tools they need to take on what is essentially something that we've never taken on before in human history. These hidden motives to survive are a completely new way of thinking about it, that when they get resolved, suddenly there's an incredible peace in your mind. And when you have peace in your mind, you can take the actions that you want to take.
That makes a lot of sense. I know in your book you talk about the rapid enlightenment process. What is that?
The rapid enlightenment process is a proven 4-step process to get the mind to quiet down, to get it to stop being so worried and neurotic and stressed out so you can focus on and take action on what matters most to you. And you can do it while being completely at peace with your life exactly as it is. And so it has 4 components to it. The first component is to recognize that you have a drunk monkey in your head. That's a little nickname that I created. And this drunk monkey is a nonstop talking machine. And you can't control it because it is unconscious reflexes. Once you see this, you start to transcend it. The second thing is to correct the imbalances in your consciousness created by the hidden motives to survive. The third component is to begin to embrace enlightened perspectives rather than survival-based perspectives. So an enlightened perspective simply assumes that all is well, and a survival perspective assumes that something needs to change. And then lastly, there's a fourth component, which is what I call recontextualization. And this is the skill of changing the way that you're thinking about things, changing the words you're using and the context that you're using, such that you're creating an empowering reality for you that assumes that all is well. So it may be that I provide you with an enlightened perspective in these 4 areas that are valuable in your life, but you have another 2 areas of your life that you're working on, and maybe I haven't done any work in those areas, so I haven't provided any potential new context. You use recontextualization to shift your own context and achieve the result on your own.
So with recontextualization, is that, I know that you were you were a master at NLP.
Yeah.
Is that something? And I've read a lot of NLP related stuff, and I read a lot of Dr. Erickson's works.
Yeah.
Is that like what he talked about? Like he would actually tell stories to build your mind in other context.
100%. That process that he would take you through was essentially a recontextualization. The question becomes, can you recontextualize yourself in the moment? Let's say you are driving by a for sale by owner. You look at the for sale by owner sign. Your heart rate goes up 20 beats per minute. Your mind starts saying, don't stop, keep going. They don't want to talk to you. They're going to be mad. They're going to be upset. They probably have a no solicitation sign, right? The mind goes crazy telling you not to stop. The question is, do you have the skill set and the fortitude to, 1, recognize that there's an unconscious reflex going on? 2, see which one of the hidden motives are taking you out in that moment. And then 3, can you find a context that gives you the power to stop and make a difference for that for sale by owner. We know that they're not going to sell it for the same amount that you are. We know
Of course.
that they're going to compromise and that they are going to put themselves at risk. We know all of that. And yet we still drive by.
So we need to, essentially, we need to change our state.
Changing your state, you've tried it, it doesn't work. It works temporarily.
Yeah, it's temporary.
But what we actually want to do is change our consciousness. That's the information that is feeding what you are. So you and I are an expression of what scientists call the background quantum field. The background quantum field is omnipresent in the universe. There are, at least at this time, we know that there are 17 subatomic particles that are all coming together, literally fizzling in and out of reality, and they're self-organizing into everything that we are. And currently, the theory is that there is both the energy and the information. And geneticists are having a hell of a time because they're seeing that there is information that when it gets included, it changes the genes. So we have energy and we have information. You and I are used to energy. We look at our hand, we see, oh, okay, this is this solid thing, but I know that this thing is actually made up of atoms, and the atoms are made up of these energetic pieces of whatever, right? And then what we don't relate to is that there is a stream of information that is creating the reality that we're living inside of. So changing your state is is literally trying to force the GPS to get off of its track. It keeps going,
Yep.
Go left, and you're like, I'm powerful. I love myself. Right?
Yeah,
And
I'm happy. I'm listening to my favorite song.
that's right. You are jumping up and down, and I love all of that stuff, and I love to change my state. And then as soon as I take my attention off of it, who comes swinging out of the jungle? The drunk monkey. Go left. Go to the office. Don't stay with your baby.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's Matthew, that's pretty interesting stuff you've been working on and teaching people on Wall Street. So, like, as real estate agents, how do we? What can we do? What can we start doing to, ingrain these new thoughts and new contextual basis? What can we do to start ingraining those into our everyday lives and in our businesses?
It begins with a commitment. You have to have some volition to commit to having a quiet mind, which means you're essentially committing to entering into what has traditionally been called an enlightened state. And enlightenment is not a religion. Enlightenment is not a place. It's not a destination. Enlightenment is a mental framework that has the basis of all is well. So it starts with having a commitment. I want to experience that all is well in the world, that nothing needs to be changed, nothing needs to be different, that I am whole, complete, and perfect exactly as I am, that my business is whole, complete, and perfect exactly as it is, that my clients are whole, complete, and perfect exactly as it is. If you are unwilling to make that commitment, that I'm committed to achieving that, then forget about it. You should just stop listening right now. If you are threatened by the idea that enlightenment somehow conflicts with illogical rules that I have about religion or what my belief systems are, then you should just hang up right now. You should not even be listening. Because what I talk about will threaten the existence of the illogical rules that are keeping you trapped.
Yeah, it's different than what we're typically taught, what we go through just on an individual basis every day.
Say it one more time because I didn't hear you.
Oh, is a different idea and different thought process. I mean, a lot of us as real estate agents, we're in reaction mode all day. We show up at the office and, we plan to prospect, we plan to do all things we know we're supposed to do, but the phone could ring and literally change our entire day. We got to jump up, run to do this, run to do that. And the stuff you're talking about goes completely against what most of us are just ingrained to do.
We're ingrained to operate in a survival state. And
Yes,
there, and that's good. I am so thankful to our ancestors for optimizing the outer experience of our world so that we have the cars and the houses and the medicine, the technology, and all the things that we have. I mean, we want to be grateful every day to the drunk monkey.
of course.
And then there's some of us that recognize, OMG, we're already there. There's no more optimizing necessary. Will we optimize? Yes. But do we need to optimize the external environment? No. Some of us are called to optimize our inner state: peace,
Yes,
joy, love, certainty, kindness, happiness. And if you are called to optimize that inner state, what you will find is that you're able to be successful in your business ventures, but your business ventures are enhanced when you admit that your primary objective is to feel good and to feel happy. As soon as you admit it and you suddenly realize, no amount of money will make me happy, no amount of deals will make me happy, no amount of awards will make me happy, no amount of acknowledgement will make me happy. Nothing externally will make me happy. External stimuli gives me hits of dopamine, hits of adrenaline. But internal optimization, turning your focus inward, gives me prolonged states of happiness, peace, fulfillment, joy. And when I'm in that place and I show up on a listing presentation, people listen. When I'm in that place and I call for sale by owner, the for sale by owner is struck by my peace, my calm,
you should call
my
it commission breath. A lot of agents would have. They'd go in there, they're excited, they got to get the listing kind of thing, and lots of times people just be turned off
not lots of times,
all the time,
not
all the
lots of
time.
times.
Yeah, all the time.
You and I and every single human being that we know are predisposed to survival motives. So if I'm a for sale by owner and an agent comes into my home to make a presentation, I am, one, resistant. Two, I am looking for traitor, lying. Three, I am trying to put up my defense to make sure that I maintain my position of greed. Four, I am looking to show this agent I know what I'm doing, pride. Five, I don't want to change my approach, lazy. So all of that stuff is stacked against us. And the way that you overcome the hidden motives to survive in other people is by adopting an enlightened framework to recognize that the source of life for you is the source of life for every for sale by owner that you talk to. That we're all one thing expressing itself with infinite variety. That the person on the other side of the table doesn't exist the way that you think that they do. They are energy and information that is being taken in through your senses. You're making up stories about what they are. You don't know who they are. You don't know what they are. But you use survival frameworks to put together what they are. And because you do that, the person on the other side of the table accidentally becomes an adversary. And when they do, you're fighting with a person that isn't fighting with you, which activates the fight in them. And now you've created a loop.
Of course. It's kind of like, I guess we all do it. We all have, on some level, we're stereotyping everybody, from the way they brush their hair to the shirt they got on. When we go in their living room and you see their favorite sports team is a rival to your favorite sports team, you're like, oh man, they're a Clemson Tiger fan. I'm a South Carolina Gamecock fan. I don't like them already. That sort of thing. I think we all do that on a certain level. Uh, we go ahead and tell ourselves about a story about the people before we even get there. I see a lot of agents, Matthew. They will literally talk themselves out of listing the property before they get to the house. Oh, well, I talked to them on the phone, and they're not going to list with me because of whatever reason on the phone. But and they have literally already given up. They don't even prepare for the listing appointment because they already feel like they're not going to get it.
If you don't know about the drunk monkey, you're dead in the water. You are the drunk monkey's puppet.
Yes.
And that's like being at the effect of the GPS in your car, except the GPS in your car has the wrong directions. It's going somewhere that you don't need to go. It's going towards survival. But you're not on a survival track. You're in real estate because you want to thrive. If you are unwilling to call that person because you already think that something is going to happen that is negative, you have an unconscious reflex running called forecasting the negative. This is a survival motive.
Yep. I've seen agents do that when they're trying to push into a higher price range. Say their average has been $200,000 for a sale, and they know they're going to make more money. They know their market supports it if they, tried to bring their average up to 350, 400,000, 500,000, right? But just for whatever reason, they don't feel like they're good enough. They don't feel like they drive a nice enough car. They don't feel like, whatever. You know, my family wasn't my family wasn't rich, so rich people don't like me. That sort of idea or thought.
Essentially, what's happening is they're running a program of self-hatred, and then they're utilizing humble to explain it. And humble says, I'm lower than other people, and I need to take my position there as to not upset the alpha. And they're declaring that the rich person is the alpha and that they are the beta and that they have to bow down to that person. And that's a phenomenal survival trait if you're in the jungle.
Yeah.
We're not in the jungle anymore, people.
Yeah, we're not. I think it's interesting you say that. I see a lot of agents, and they feel like, I'll tell you, my most productive years, I felt like, hey, man, I'm showing up their house because I'm really their best option. I want to help them. They want to they probably have a problem, and that's why they want to sell their house to fix that problem, whether it's moving up or moving down or whatever it is. But they have a problem. They think selling the house is going to fix the problem. And I'm there because, that's what I do. I sell a lot of houses. I'm there to help them. And it's my choice whether or not I want to work with them when I get there. That was kind of my mindset, and that's been my mindset for a long time when it comes to working with sellers. But I've seen a lot of agents take the opposite approach. They're like, please pick me. Please pick me. You're interviewing multiple agents, let it be me. What do I need to do? What magic words can I say, Jason, to make them pick me over, these other 10 people? And I've never thought about it that they're actually bowing down to that person. And it's an alpha beta type role.
They're also relating to themselves like they are a victim, that they're powerless.
Yes.
These survival motives are the reality that we're living. If a person wants to achieve a quiet mind and therefore an epic life, they've got to take the time to understand the thinking process, what I call the drunk monkey. What is its motivation? What am I trying to accomplish here by doing this begging that I have in my mind? What is the motivation? And if I can understand the motivation, then I can go through the process of releasing that underlying motivation. My mind will go silent. I will go into a free and clear state. I just got an email from a real estate agent recently, and she said, Matthew, I've read your book over and over and over and over. And for the first time in my entire life, I had a full day where my mind was quiet. And it was so crazy. For the first time, I thought to myself, gosh, maybe I should create a prospecting method that works for me and makes me feel happy, because most of the prospecting methods that I do make me feel terrible. And she
Yeah.
began to work on her own version of business generation that made her feel fulfilled and satisfied, something that she could do without tipping herself into the anxieties of the survival motivation. And it started by getting the mind to go quiet.
I'll tell you a similar story to what she has that I went through. Well, I was And I'll tell you, we both had the same original mentor in the real estate business. I got introduced to Mike Ferry very early. Got introduced to him, and I'd played rugby for Winthrop University, and I wasn't scared of nothing, but I was very much into his system, right, of making calls and stuff. And some of his scripts, I'll tell you, Matthew, some of his scripts were, man, they were painful for me to say. You know, I'm here in the South. We're usually laid back. We're easygoing, and some of the scripts were kind of a little bit in your face. They were kind of a little bit harsh, at least to me. And and I went through that same thing where I hated saying them. I hated going on the scripts, and then when I took out the script and I adjusted it. I adjusted the things. I still used basically the basic framework of the script, but I adjusted it, just changed some words. And all of a sudden I went from like really hating to say these things, hating to ask these questions, hating to go through that process, going, maybe I don't need scripts. You know what I mean? Well, we all need scripts. That's the magic comes when you're using the same script over and over again, and all of a sudden you know all the questions. But when I changed the scripts, I changed the process to something I didn't mind saying that I enjoyed. It was more conversational for me. It was easy. It kept me on track. And I went from that having painful prospecting things, and the painful part was me. It wasn't the script. It was really me. And when I changed it up a little bit and created a process that I felt good about, and one of my processes was playing music in my headphones, while I was letting the dialer run, and it got to where I actually enjoyed it. It was a fun time for me to go to the office. And when I didn't do it for a week or so, I'd actually miss it.
All you're talking about is training and contextualization. You
Yes, sir.
change the context of the situation.
Yep.
And once you change the context of the situation, you become empowered.
Yes.
And the entire foundation of the rapid enlightenment process is shifting your context to know that all is well. So there's shifting your context to know I'm going to be okay. That's very helpful. And that's really where you got, I'm going to be okay doing this. Then it switched to, gosh, actually, this is very effective. Then it became, wow, this is really profitable.
Yep.
Then it became, wow, I'm very powerful in this position. You kept shifting, leveling up in your contextual framework. The question is, can we make a jump from I'm a victim, I don't like this, I'm less than, I don't want people to get mad at me, so I'm going to be humble and make myself lower than them. Can we make a jump from that straight into all is well? They can say whatever they want and it doesn't have any effect on me. I'm looking for those people that I can help.
Yep. I felt like I was a doctor. I know that's an extreme comparison, but we go to the doctor sometimes. We don't like what the doctor's got to say, but deep down we kind of knew he's right. I kind of had the same mindset about myself. Like, hey, these people I'm talking to about selling their house, they might not like what I got to tell them. They might not like it. If they're mad, they're really not mad at me. They're mad about the situation they're in. Has nothing at all to do with Jason Morris. They don't know Jason Morris, and really I developed that mindset and that contextualization where it was truly I'm calling them because I'm helping them. If they don't want my help, then, oh, well, I'll call the next person. They'll need my help.
What we're talking about here is an aspect of enlightened prosperity. Enlightened prosperity is really simple. Enlightenment means that you experience the world as all is well.
Of course.
And prosperity is the Latin word for prosperous, which means that you're doing well. So all is well, and I'm doing well. When your mind is quiet and you enter into the present moment, you're overwhelmed with the knowledge that all is well. You see yourself in everyone. You see that everyone you're talking to is you and you are them. And then this activates your inner resources. And suddenly you're taking action to do all the things that are necessary to build this life that you have a vision for. You're not building a life that you thought of. These visions, these ideas, they come to you. They're not your ideas. You are the idea. And this old information from your ancestors that cause you to be humble and greedy and fearful and scared and victimized and lazy, this old information blocks you or blocks the vision from coming through you. And many people get hung up on this word of enlightenment because they think about it like I have to renounce the world, and it's some kind of religious thing.
Of course, we got to be a monk and live in a monastery.
Yeah, I'm going to be a monk and live. That's just not practical. Okay, yep. It's not practical. The rapid enlightenment process challenges the spiritual status quo. What I teach will get the mind to go quiet in the middle of the insanity of your day. No meditation required.
So what we need to do, I want to sum up some of this for the people on us with us. We got a lot of people on Facebook still and people here on Zoom with us. So first thing we need to do is recognize that our mind is telling us to do something that we don't really have to do, or something that's incorrect.
Let's say it in this way, Jason. My mind is not my friend. Quit listening to your mind like it's a trusted advisor. It's a biological mechanism. It has nothing to do with what you actually want.
Our mind doesn't care about us being happy. It just cares about us surviving and eating and breathing tomorrow.
And taking care of the babies and making sure we have enough resources and looking good and being filled with pride and being better than other people and. The mind is a survival machine.
And that's it. And sometimes it's telling us to survive, and that's what we're focused on instead of what we really want to do and what we really want out of life and what we really want to spend our time working on.
I'd like to even amend that. It's not sometimes telling you to survive. It's never not telling you to survive. 100% of your thoughts are about survival until you can recognize that there is an automatic thought machine running in the background. And the moment you can recognize it, suddenly you're going to hear a new voice start to come through. So your goals, survival. Your dreams, survival. What you want, survival. The moment you can acknowledge that those things are survival, suddenly they stop having so much value. And when they don't have that much value, a new energy, a new voice, a new idea set comes through from the perspective that all is well. And when you know that all is well, you stop doing things that don't feel good. And when you stop doing things that don't feel good, the actions you take are so productive.
I agree with that. I'll tell you one of the things that I've been doing lately is I've read both of Jesse Itzler's books here recently, Living with a Seal and then Living with Monks. I read them like back to back. And one of the things I kind of realized was that we're all going to remember. We're not going to remember how much money Jason made, or if Jason went to work last Tuesday. We're going to remember the experience that we had with Jason, right? My little girl, when I'm dead and gone, what she's going to remember is the experiences she had with her mom and daddy. And that's one of the things that I've thought a lot about lately, and that's helped me. It's helped me get over that whole hey, I got to go to work tomorrow. You know what I mean? It's helped me get over that and say, hey, I want to take a trip here. I want to do this with her. Or, let's do this afternoon. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if I go home honestly, it doesn't matter if I go home at 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock. You know what I mean? I can go home at 3 o'clock and it doesn't change the results of my day at this point, with everything I have going on in my career. And, but I've still had to that thought has helped me turn it off. I've kind of accepted that's what I want. It's not about, if I hang around, I'm not going to make $10 more. You know what I mean?
In my book, in chapter 9, I go through a set of incredible contextualizations that I had been experimenting with. And one of the things that I was working on was helping my Wall Street clients come to a place of peace, realizing that they don't need any more. Because if they don't need any more, then if they are predisposed to creating systems for having more dollars come in, they can do so, but they can do it in a state of peace. And in chapter 9, I show the reader that we can muscle test their arm. We can literally put their arm out and press down on their arm. I'll see if I can find a slide that we can share with everybody. So you can press down on their arm and make a statement. And when you do, you'll see that the arm is either strengthened or weakened. And the craziest thing started to happen. I started to see that statements that concluded that all is well were strengthening, and statements that had the conclusion that something needed to change weakened the body. And one of those statements is the idea. Oh, hey, there's my book.
There's your book. Yeah.
One of those statements is that the purpose of life is to experience. That is a strengthening statement. But when I test anything else, any other purpose, all other purposes cause your physiology to go weak, which essentially puts you into a survival state. Any statement or any idea, any purpose that you think you have is not actually a purpose that strengthens you. The only purpose that strengthens you is the purpose to experience, and that's it.
That makes sense. So,
well, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but when you put your arm out and we test it, then you start to go, wow, that's interesting. Yeah. I'm gonna put up a slide for you right now. Okay, so check it out. So this is a slide. It says this will stop another screen sharing. Yes, continue.
Yes.
Here we go. Do that now, and we don't need to. We're going to optimize for a full screen video clip. Yes, here we go. Boom. Here it is. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I do.
Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. So check this out. Let's just start this guy up. So this is what the muscle testing looks like. This is me doing it at one of my events. I made a statement and she tried to keep her arm up. It didn't work. I made a statement and his arm stays up, no problem. Now, this is a really interesting metric that you can start to apply to things. So you see, I make a statement, her arm stays up. I make a statement here, her arm falls down. What is that? So ultimately, my objective, I'm going to stop the screen sharing again. My objective was to do an exploration of what are the thoughts that we have that strengthen us and what are the thoughts that we have that weaken us. And in that process, I began to discern greed, grudge, hatred, victim, illogical rules, humble, traitor, pride, resistance, lazy. These things were embedded into our thinking process. They were the spirit behind our thoughts. So you have these incredible goals and you go, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this goal. Then we muscle test the goal on your arm and the goal itself causes your physiology to fail. And we then do an exploration and discover that greed is at the heart of your goal. And when we recognize that greed is there, we release the greed and we decide that I want to achieve the goal for different reasons. And I create a new context for why I want to achieve that goal, a context that assumes that if I don't achieve the goal, it doesn't matter. If I don't achieve the goal, nothing's going to happen. I'm still going to be living the life that I'm living. And as soon as I get to that place, my inspiration takes over, which is distinct from motivation. Motivation is provided with a motive to do something. Inspiration is filled with the spirit to do something. Motivation drives you like you are a meat sack that will respond to carrot and stick, which is generally true. Inspiration pulls you forward and you smile the entire time. Motivation, you're kind of like, oh, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Inspiration, you're like, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. I tell you, I've learned a lot today. Some of the stuff I got the Kindle version of your book. I've read it and went down through it. When we planned this call, I said, and I knew that you had a new book out. I had to download it and read it before the call, and it's a very interesting book. And I think it explains. I've done a lot of stuff, and I've done a lot of this whole "why am I doing this" kind of crazy stuff and researching on my own before. That's how I discovered people like Dr. Erickson and of course Tony Robbins and stuff like that too. And but I've never. I'll tell you this. I've never thought about greed being the a major motivator for myself. And as we're kind of going through this conversation, I've been thinking about it. I said, the times I feel like I've enjoyed my business the best, the times that I feel like I've done the best, been the most productive, are the times that I don't want to say money didn't matter because we got to be profitable to keep going, but it wasn't as important. Does that make sense?
It's
Like
not, yeah, and it's not that
money.
money doesn't matter. It is that money is a tool. There's a certain level of comfort that I would like to achieve. And if I want to, I can take some action to have that happen. But what happens when we release greed is we realize we don't need as much resource as we say we need. And you
Right.
start to live inside of the amount of resource that you have with no need for more. And the moment you do that, you suddenly have all kinds of energy to put into the things that are important to you. When you release greed, you oftentimes become far more profitable.
Yeah, that's the way I've felt in the past. When I didn't feel like that, like, oh man, I wasn't stressing out about getting another listing, wasn't stressing out about getting another contract on the board. I wasn't stressing out about, whatever it was. I felt like things just flowed smoother. Things were easier. I enjoyed it more. When I was stressed, and this is something when I told some agents in my group coaching, I said the big breakthrough for me um, was when selling real estate initially wasn't when I first learned how to list stuff and actually kind of got the system. All of a sudden it's like you get it after you do a few transactions, but it wasn't me getting it. It was when I got enough money in my bank account that I was more financially secure. I was a broke college kid when I started, and when I first started, it was like, hey, I got to go to work and I got to make calls. So hopefully I don't have to go to work and, things like that. It was like, oh man, I need to write a check today. I'm hoping I get paid tomorrow. So it actually clears for my light bill. And, but once I got past that whole thing and I had some money in the bank, it was like all of a sudden the real estate business just got easier for me.
Yeah, and really what we're talking about here is the basics of survival. And
Yep.
so of course, when you have enough money, you are feeling good. And I find that the people that you and I would be talking to are people who, if they step back and they look at their situation, they'll realize that for the most part, they've got the basics of life handled. But the
Of course.
mind doesn't let them say that. The mind says, that is dangerous. Don't say that because then you won't do anything. And if you don't do anything, you'll die.
Yeah.
If you don't do anything, you're going to live under a bridge. And it's just not true. The mind is not on your side.
Yeah.
Your mind
That's
is not
right.
your friend. Stop listening to it.
Well, man, I really appreciate you doing this call with me today. I know we're at the end of the hour I promised I'd keep you at. Is there I want to tell everybody how to get your book, or I want you to tell everybody how to get your book, Quiet the Mind, Epic Life. Is Amazon the best way?
They can go to Amazon, and I'm also giving away free books. As long as they pay the shipping, I will send them a book. So if they go to quietmindepiclife.com.
I tell you what, let's put that here on the screen. Well, I think I can put it on the screen, Matt.
All
Okay.
right, do
Quiet,
it. Quiet
quiet
Mind. Yep. Put
mind.
the E needs to be after the I. Quiet Mind, Epic Life.
Quiet Mind. I'm not a great speller.
That's all right. Me neither. Epiclife.com.
Epiclife.com. And all you gotta do
Yep.
is pay the shipping,
Oh,
and
yep.
Matthew will send the book to you for free. Hey man, I tell you, I'm excited about it. This is one of the calls that I've done with people that I feel like I got to go through. And I was taking notes while we were talking, and there was a lot of information in there. Matthew, I need a hard copy. I got to order me a hard copy today so I can
Yep. Just
actually
send me
outline.
your address. I'll send you one.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good day,
You
everybody.
have a great day. Thanks, guys.